Okay, guys, let's do my favorite players this season so far. This is kind of similar to the role player stuff I normally do, but I didn't feel like just sticking to role players for this, and also there will still be some role players in this video. Of course, this will not be a every single guy playing well in the league video, just like a few specific guys, and I will still try to do like a rapid fire thing at the end. And also, while I could just talk about Derek White for the whole vid, we try to get new guys in. I would like to start with Franz. So Paulo went down, and Franz started putting up all-star numbers. It's safe to say that he has overcome whatever happened with his jump shot last season, where he's got threes off the catch, where sometimes he'll set like off-ball screens and then flash out from those. He's got threes off the dribble, he's got backdoor cuts, he's got cuts off of little two-man games with his brother at the top of the key. And as always, Franz, he's got drives, he's got big gather steps, he's got physicality in everything he does. And he's also got a whole bunch of nice passes off of Goga and Mo pick and rolls to everybody. Suggs, De Silva, KCP. He had like a behind-the-head pass to KCP in the Nets game recently. I would like to call out just a couple of specific plays. I loved late in that Laker game where they had Goga set him a very, very high screen, which did draw out AD, like out of the paint a little bit. Hits AD with a crossover, then it's just a foot race to the rim. He beats him with a lefty layup. In the Pistons game, you got a play where he kind of freezes Isaiah Stewart at the free throw line after a screen, going into his gather step, but he kind of hesitated for half a second. You get it. And maybe I'm underselling it, but the passing has been really good as well. Like the amount of skip passes that he's busted out are really cool. And they're still elite on defense, and Franz plays a big role in that. Don't forget about that. So yeah, shout out to Franz. They also just got Wendell back. Next, we're going to go to the Terror Twins, Amen and Tari. So there are many reasons why the Rockets' defense is so good, between Dylan Brooks and all the switching in a Udoka scheme, and Udoka moving Şengün around defensively sometimes, and also Şengün's improvement. But also, when these two come in the game, it's just chaos. I think they have like a plus 13 net rating with these two on the court. I'll try to give each of them like a minute. So in the case of Amen, it's every type of athletic play you can think of. It's cuts off of Şengün having the ball in some way, whether it's a post-up, screen action, a drive, whatever. It's transition with or without the ball. It's putbacks where a lot of the time he is in the dunker spot for them. It also helps that you can run a screen action with him at the top of the key to where he can get downhill himself. And the thing with him defensively is like, yes, like he gets a lot of steals, he gets a lot of blocks. That should not be ignored. He also just pulls off crazy plays that are not going to result in anything on the stat sheet. So an example in their recent one against the Wolves, there's a play where he helps on Gobert rolling to the rim, and he's ready to box out Gobert. He's ready to wrestle with him for a rebound and all that. But then the ball ends up zipping back around to the three-point line, and he goes from the paint to the three-point line to close out to Naz Reid in a dead sprint, and he gets there, and he just forces a swing pass, and then Dillingham misses a three. He's an insane athlete. And then if we can get to Tari, I mean, the steal, block, and rebound numbers are all going insane. But if I may, I think the largest improvement for him that is not the snap thing you see when you look at the numbers is his improvements at the rim. His first 2 years of his career, where he still was playing hard, he was in the 50s at percentage at the basket. This year, he's at 70%. And sure, some of those are in transition, where it's either a deflection or a steal that he created, because he's creating a lot of them, or somebody else, and he's converting them. Like, yes, that's part of it. But still, going from 55 to 70%, that's a big jump around the rim. Now, as I say this, he did have a recent game against the Blazers where he did have some of those misses around the basket. But in general, yes, big improvement around there. So that's cool. As far as the steals, I mean, he had 6 versus the Pacers, and a good amount of them were him just playing really hard, fighting around screens like off the ball, and then just reading passing lanes really well. I've also loved the times when Amen and Tari have both been directly involved in like a turnover, like in the Wolves game. So Amen stole it from Nikhil in the backcourt. And then the very next play, Amen and Tari doubled Nikhil to get another turnover. One of the Tari steals in the Pacer game was like Amen forcing Halliburton to pass out around the rim, and then Tari's right there to steal the pass that was meant to go to like Obi in the paint. And also what these two did to the Clippers in one of those games that they had in those back-to-back games was like damn near illegal. Like they were the reason they won one of those games. It was basically those two. And Tari would kill the Clippers in both of those games back-to-back. So yeah, these two are a great watch, and the Rockets, they're one of the most interesting teams in the league to me, man. Between what they look like today and what they could look like 2 years from now, it's a whole thing. Next up, we got to go to J-Dub. I've already said that the J-Dub All-Star campaign, it could be here, man. He continues to be efficient at pretty much everything. And like I said about SGA in the MVP race video, now that Hart has been back for some games, he can get screens and handoff actions with him, so he can flow into like pull-up twos or finishes at the rim or whatever. Again, J-Dub's doing everything well. Physical drives, shots off the dribble, step back twos, catch and shoot threes have been great, all of it. This includes the passing as well. And when Hart was not out there, OKC had to get a little more creative with the screen actions. Granted, they already get creative with having kind of anybody screen for anybody, but, it was more Wiggins or Isaiah Joe brush screens or Lou Dort, or sometimes just figure it out without a screen. And J-Dub was doing all that. The other thing as well, in those times where they just didn't have any big guys, well, somebody needs to guard the center, and a lot of the time, that fell on J-Dub. In the Suns game, J-Dub is on Nurkic. In the Mavs game, he's on Lively. In the Pelicans game, he's on Yves Missi. I mean, hell, even in the first game that Hart just came back recently, Hart wasn't starting, so J-Dub opened the game on Klingon. Hart has since started the last 3 games. But yeah, J-Dub is killing it, and his between-the-legs dribble still goes crazy, man. You know I have to have a Celtic on this list. We're going to go Payton Pritchard, who kind of just saved them against the Bulls. He's got to be in the running for 6th man of the year, which I think was a preseason question that I had for the Celtics or something. Anyway, look, Pritchard is shooting threes at a rate of basically Steph right now. He's at 11 per 36 minutes. And I think Pritchard is just showing off a textbook way on how to get a crazy amount of three-pointers up while not being the main ball handler. I mean, certainly depending on the lineups, he's going to have the ball more. But obviously the Celtics have a lot of guys who handle the ball. What I mean is like ghost screens, down screens, getting open in transition, being willing to take threes from like a foot behind the three-point line, also not being affected that much by closeouts or tough contests, having a quick release, that's an obvious one, and also still being a good enough ball handler himself to take some off the dribble. His confidence is also just crazy, like the step backs, the pull-ups, all of it. And then defensively, Pritchard, yes, there's going to be limitations because of his size, but he works so hard on defense. Like, he is probably really annoying to deal with because whether it's random swipes, whether it's just being physical, especially if somebody bigger tries to body him up. I mean, if you're going to score on him, it's not going to be because he was not trying. Next up, we go to Stefan Castle. We do have some rookies here. And when I do my draft class video, that'll be the time to do the strengths and weaknesses of all the rookies. For this, we're more so just going off of vibes. In fourth quarters, I have seen Stefan Castle do a really good job chasing Steph around screens. I also saw him have a great contest at the rim on Lindsey Waters in that same Warriors fourth quarter. He hit a massive 3 that was like a foot behind the line early in the shot clock. Very confident 3 in that Warriors fourth quarter. I've seen him block SGA with like a minute left to go in the game. I've seen him score off of screening for Chris Paul in the Jazz fourth quarter, and then also getting a dunk himself in that same Jazz fourth quarter just off of a pick and roll, market and switch to go past him, all that. And I'm just going to repeat what I said in my overreacting to the rookies in the preseason video. Stefan Castle is giving me a lot of the energy that I felt watching Marcus Smart in his early days with the Celtics, which is he's just going to make something happen. Whether it's a great pass in transition, whether it's a rebound, whether it's just a great defensive possession. I mean, hell, in that same Warriors game, like he airballs a pull-up too, and then immediately he steals it from Steph in transition. Like you just put him out there, something's going to happen. Now, Marcus capped out at like a 11, 12 points a game guy for the most part. I think Castle has already shown signs that he can surpass that as a scorer. I mean, he's basically at that right now, but also he's had multiple 20-point games or almost 20-point games. Yes, his efficiency needs to improve. He's at a 50 true shooting right now. We're also, 17 games into his career or whatever. Again, we'll save that stuff for the draft class video. We'll see, but I like him a lot. And the Spurs have a 109 defensive rating with Castle and Wemby on the court together. That is very good. I'm just going to say Dyson Daniels because I don't think you need another person on the internet telling you how good his defense is, but he's still on the list. Next, we're going to go to the Grizzlies, who now actually have at least a couple of games with Ja, Jaren, and Desmond Bane around this team that just made it work as they had a couple of injuries to start the year. Jalen Wells, who we're going to talk about here, big part of that. Scottie Pippen Jr., also a big deal in all this, but I just want to focus on Wells because, I don't know, he's getting the rookie buff. Jalen Wells stepped in his first season after being drafted in the second round and has just been a impact player on both sides of the floor right away. Playing 25 minutes a game, starting most of their games. Offensively, he can shoot and he can make stuff happen off the dribble. I love how high the arc is on his shot, and I would say he is not a reluctant three-point shooter either. I mean, 5 threes a game, 25 minutes a game, that's good stuff. And then as far as the off-the-dribble stuff, a lot of it is straight drives, attack off the catch, transition. First off, the handle is good, and then also there have been some times when he's had to bust out something a little extra, whether it's like a floater or even a turnaround jumper if his defender catches up to him, and he looks good enough on this stuff to make me believe that there could be something more there in the long run for him as a scorer. And then defensively, I mean, he's just getting the tough covers. Last one against the Pelicans, he's on CJ. CJ had 30, but only a couple of them were on Jalen Wells. And even the ones he made over Wells, like they were well contested. In the Blazers game, he's mostly on Sharp. In the Bulls game, he's on Levine a lot. And I love how early he picks guys up, whether it's in the backcourt or he's just sticking to him off the ball, or if it's in the half court, he's like not giving him a lot of space either. Yeah, I mean, Jalen Wells, he just walked into the NBA and he was instantly just a positive 3-and-D guy. Like, okay, that's great. Okay, rapid fire time. This one's going to make me very happy. Time Lord on the Blazers. He's played 7 games. He's currently dealing with a concussion, so hopefully he'll be fine there. Man, the blocks have been going crazy, and Time Lord blocks just look different. I mean, he had this one block on Fred where he closed out from the paint all the way to the three-point line that was crazy. In one of the Wolves games, he has like 3 blocks, 3 steals, a bunch of lobs from like Jeremy Grant or Denny or Banton. I was just like, this is beautiful. If I can ask the basketball gods for one thing, just I want Time Lord to have a healthy career, please. Next up, Josh Hart. I already said nice things about him in the Knicks video, but besides the very high minutes, where I think he's like 4th in the league in minutes, I mean, McHale is number 1 currently, but besides that, besides all the rebounds, I continue to just be so impressed with how Josh Hart manages to get to like 5 or 6 assists a game. Sure, he'll sometimes screen on the ball, sometimes he'll be involved in a handoff action with Cat, but a lot of the time it's transition, it's swing passes, it's just flow of the game, find an open guys. Maybe it's an assist off of an offensive rebound, stuff like that. Love Josh Hart, love the hustle. Next up, Ty Jerome and Karis LeVert on the Cavs. Said very nice things about them in the Cavs video. I do have to talk about the trio of Derrick Jones Jr., Zubac, and Chris Dunn on the Clippers. When those 3 are on the court together, the Clippers have a defensive rating of 98. Christian Brown on the Nuggets just playing beautifully off of everything they do. The cuts, the handoff actions, aggressive drives, you name it. And also, while the volume has not been very high, he has been making his threes. Finally, as always, Derek Lively. Whenever Derek Lively is on my TV screen playing basketball, I just feel a little better.